Hi, welcome to Trail Less Traveled. I'm Steve, this is Katie.
Today we wanted to share a few tips with you about getting the deal you want when you are purchasing an RV. We bought our camper last July?
In July, yes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and we got the deal we wanted. We got right around 30% off of MSRP, which is a pretty decent deal.
Cha-ching, cha-ching, cha-chingery. Money, oh money, how I love thee.
We wanted to share some of the things that we did so that you can hopefully get the deal that you're looking for on your camper as well.
Yeah, we ended up purchasing a 2019 Grand Design 312 BHTS. And if you want to see that, we will link that up here so you can take a look at that. It was a good purchase. We didn't necessarily mean to purchase brand new, but we did find a pretty good deal on it, and so we ended up purchasing that. You should really be able to get 30% off on a new camper. I just was surprised since that was a little bit more popular. Sometimes people can get even 40% off.
But yeah, when we purchased our camper, there was not one within a 200-mile radius of us. We had to go out of town to be able to purchase it. So I was surprised that we got the deal that we got as well. I think the first thing that we would advise you to do when you're looking for getting a great deal on an RV is to make sure that you're doing your research.
Yeah, you definitely have to know what you're getting into. You know, you want to do research on the brand, the make and model of it.
The quality of that particular brand of camper.
Yeah.
Because you'll get what you pay for, essentially.
When we first started out, we thought we knew what we wanted, and we looked for
A long time.
Yeah, a long time. And so we started off with the used one just to get out there, and we loved that thing because it got us out there, but we also knew that we wanted a different one for our needs.
Something that was just a little more comfortable for our family. So we were glad that, we found this steal of a deal camper to get us going, but we used that camper so much pretty quickly out of the gates. We realized that we were probably going to be upgrading our camper because we wanted something that was a little more long-term and would be a little bit more comfortable for us if we wanted to go on longer treks. I mean, that's probably when we started our research. So we probably looked for about a good year before we actually made the purchase.
Yeah, and we went in and out of hundreds.
A lot.
Yeah, and so...
And probably thousands of YouTube videos. I mean,
Yeah.
We looked at fifth wheels, we looked at travel trailers, we looked at Class A's, we looked, so many floor plans, so many brands, so many campers. But we found, when we found a floor plan that we liked, we pretty well stayed with that floor plan. We just ended up switching from a fifth wheel to a travel trailer. But it was kind of like walking into a house. Like that when you're going to purchase a house, you just walk into it and you just know. You're like, this one is really great.
We found maybe one or two that really felt like that before too, and we really liked them. But then once we actually stepped foot into the one that we purchased, we knew that for sure. The quality felt better. Just everything about it felt better for us. And that doesn't necessarily mean that's going to be for everybody. But the ones we were looking at before, they definitely were a decent deal. But it just wasn't what we had envisioned for being something that we have for an extended period of time. So.
Yeah, and I would say one of the things that you should also do is make sure that you have your checklist of things that you want in your camper. We knew we wanted a lot of storage because we have 5 people, so that's a lot of stuff, especially if you want to go for 2 or 3 weeks at a time. Sometimes you want to have a lot of space for clothes because you're going to need a lot of stuff. Just having all those things on the checklist, and as you're doing your research, just go through and kind of check, does this have what I want? Does it have what I need? And just kind of the overall feel of it, because you want it to feel like you're home away from home, because it's an investment. It's a big chunk of money sometimes, so you want to make sure that it's what you really want before you pull the trigger on the choice.
Yeah. And you want to make sure too that you look into the future. Like, do you want to add certain things to this?
Or to your family.
Yeah. And are you going to have more children? Are you adopt a kid or
a dog.
whatever it is? And so just understanding that, and then also too with having potentially wanting to maybe put solar on it and things like that. So you got to look into, is there enough weight capacity that it can handle? Is there enough storage to put those sort of things? Do you want extra batteries and things like that? You just always got to look and do your research into the future too, what you want to do. Do you want to add a bike rack on the back? Just depends what you want to do.
Does it matter to you if you want to have a ladder to get up and be able to sweep off your slides before you shut your slides up? I mean, there's a lot of things to think about before you actually make the purchase. So take your time, do your research, make sure that you are getting the rig that has everything that you're looking for.
Yes.
The other thing I would say is also remember that this is not like a house. So it's not a house that's going to go off the market if you don't jump on that particular one. If you fall in love with, like we did, the Grand Design 312 BHTS, there's hundreds of them around the country. It just may be a matter of going and finding one.
Yeah.
So you don't have to buy one that costs more than you want to pay just so that you can get that specific one. You can find one somewhere. It just may take a little bit longer. So don't let that deter you from waiting for a good deal.
Yeah, and if you do find one that's a little bit of ways, you can negotiate them, either delivering it to you or meeting you halfway. It just depends what type of negotiation that you want to do with them.
Yeah, and a lot of times it depends on your timeline. If you need it right away, then you're probably gonna have to go get it yourself. But if you have a little bit of time to wait, you can have it delivered. There are constantly trailers going all over the country. It doesn't scare them to transport a trailer someplace. It's just a little bit of negotiation that you have to do.
Yeah.
We bought a new trailer, but that might not be what you're in the market for, and you can still, make sure that you're getting a good deal on a used trailer. And Steve actually was the one that found that there was a way to get like an assessment or something done on used trailers. What?
Yeah, you can hire somebody to go look at it and make sure that it's actually good, make sure that it doesn't have any sort of big underlying issues. If you do financing on a used trailer, they will require that.
And then you can also find people online that will go and look and tell you the actual value of the trailer is.
Yeah.
Because a lot of times people didn't get such a great deal on the trailer, and then they're turning around and they're trying to sell it a year later, and they're trying to sell it for, a few $1,000s off of what they paid for it, and that is way more than it's actually worth at that point. So it's something to be aware of if you are going to buy a used trailer.
Yeah, a used trailer, let's say the MSRP, or they paid, $50,000 for it, and they're trying to sell it a year later. A lot of times you can get that anywhere from 40 to 60% less than what they paid, and that's really all it's worth. Because if they go to a dealership, they're going to get 30% of what they actually paid. And so, that's the other reason too, to make sure that you purchase the one you want for a long time, because it is going to drop in value a lot.
Yeah.
When you're talking about finances anyway.
You are not going to make a profit on a trailer. Even if you get a good deal off of MSRP like we did, we still would not be able to turn around and make money. At this point, we probably wouldn't even be able to get our money, what we owe on it, which is fine. And that's a choice that we made because we knew it was a camper that we could travel in for a very long time.
There may be a unicorn out there that one person finds that they can turn around and flip it, but that's not normally the case. Don't make the exception the rule. So
Yes.
if you're looking to purchase a used camper, just make sure that you know what you're purchasing.
Oh, that's an RV.
Like I said, you can have somebody go and look at it, examine it. If you're really handy, definitely look through everything, make sure there's no water leaks or anything like that, and just make sure and go through everything. Have them hook it up and make sure everything works perfectly.
Yeah, don't ever walk away from buying a used camper without you having it plugged in, water turned on, electricity, the refrigerator, plumbing, everything. You need to turn on every single thing before you walk out of there.
Yeah. Also with used campers, if you're not looking for a specific one, maybe you just want a bunkhouse, maybe you are just a couple and you're looking for like a rear living or whatever it is, you can always go to the dealership and they're constantly getting trade-ins. And so you can actually talk to the manager, and you have to talk to the manager and tell them, what you're looking for, because they'll take these things on a used trade, and if they don't need it, or want it on their lot, they will actually sell it to somebody, for, I can't remember the specific name of what these people are, but they're basically like resellers. And so they're selling, they're taking them in on trade and giving these people like, 10-20% of the value of the trailer, and then they're selling it to somebody else basically for that same price, when they would much rather sell it to you and maybe get a little bit more than that. But you can get a really good deal just doing that. So
because they don't want used campers sitting on their lot. No. It just takes up real estate that they have to pay money for, where they want the new and the cool to be taking up the space on their lots.
Yeah, so that's definitely an option, just to talk to them and see if they'll keep your name and number. But you do have to move on those really quickly, because they do turn those around and sell them to those people really fast. Yeah, part of the research part of it is definitely stepping into these and talking to dealerships and those sort of things. One of the first places that we started was going to, your sport and boat shows that have RVs there and things like that. And so
RV shows and
you can just walk through hundreds of them if you want to. So then if you're at the show and you're looking at these, know that those show prices, sometimes they can be an okay deal, but know that, they are there to sell you it, and they will sell you it at the show. And so sometimes they even have them, they even have these salesmen that travel around and go to shows and sell, RVs. Like, that's what they do, is travel around. They're really good salesmen, and they go and they sell people only at shows. And so once again, it goes back to that research. Know what it's worth and know how much you should be getting out of it. Don't fall in love with it and buy it at the show. You can, like I said, you can sometimes find good deals at the shows, but no.
So don't get just excited because you're like, show price. It may not be as good of a deal as it's turning out to be.
And just know all RV dealerships are not made the same, and so some are going to do those things, and I would like to think a lot of them don't, but just know that those things do happen out there. So
again, knowing the rig, knowing the brand, knowing the price, and what the MSRP should be on it, and all that kind of stuff. And you can usually go on the website for a brand, and it will give you the rough MSRP. And understand though that may not include like 2 air conditioners or things like that. So sometimes you can go onto the website itself and pick those choices and then see what the MSRP should be for your particular, the camper that you're looking for with all the features that you want. But then again, like once you get to the dealership, get that actual invoice from the dealer so that you know all of the costs and everything.
And really figure out which one is for you.
And I would say too, just as a word of caution, if you are a parent and you are serious about being able to look at the trailers, find a babysitter for the kids.
Yeah.
Yes, it's fun for them and you want them to try out the bunkhouse and all that stuff, but we would be so much more productive in our camping search when we did not have the kids with us, because we, we're too worried about them or breaking something or they were slamming cabinets everywhere. So just as a little side piece of advice, if you're going to go to an RV show, find a babysitter.
Maybe they have perfect children.
Oh, we don't? Man.
When after you figure out which one that you want.
The perfect one.
Yeah, you're 100% on that one. Just make sure that you shop around to different dealerships. And so even if they're 1,200 miles away or, however far it is, negotiate with them. And then if you have one closer, then you can, explain to them what the other one is giving you. and see if they can match it.
So one of the things that you should look for as you're shopping around and from dealer to dealer is ask them what their fees are. So like, what's their paperwork fees? Do they have fees that they have to pay because of the particular state that they're in? So look for those dealership fees, the hidden fees, the costs that might not be directly on the sticker, because you may think, oh, this is an awesome deal, but then find out that they throw in a whole bunch of fees to kind of make up for the difference in the price that they're giving you. So watch out for those when you're shopping from dealer to dealer. Another way to get a great deal, and this is not what we did, but it is something to look out for, is if there is a trailer that is a model year older still on the lot, you may get one heck of a deal on that trailer. They don't need it anymore. It's not the newest one, so they want to get rid of it. So if it has the features that you're looking for, then go ahead and definitely buy it. The next piece of advice we would give is to make sure that you hold your ground. So kind of know that point where you are. So know the RV you want, know the price point that you want to be at, and be pretty firm on that. Don't waver in your head. So then when you go to the dealer, you are basically like, I can't buy this camper unless I get this deal.
Yeah.
Steve's way better at that than I am. Yeah, definitely like hold your grounds.
Yeah. Just make it black and white and not, it's tough when you're buying things, especially when it's something that you want, not to make it emotional, but I only have one emotion anyway, so.
Save my money emotion. And I will say, like, the technique of like walking away or whatever did not really seem to phase any of the dealerships that I talked to. So I like that, when I say hold your grounds, that's not what I mean. I just say, be upfront with them about this is the deal that you want to get, and that if you can't make the deal, then unfortunately you're not going to be able to give them your business. Be firm, know what you want, and set out like specifically to get that deal and that camper.
When you're working on the deal, just know that with a camper, if you haven't owned a camper before, there's a lot of things that come along with it, and so you can work some of that stuff into the deal.
Yeah. So ask for extras.
Mm-hmm. And so maybe they'll give you $500 or $1,000 in their store. Mm-hmm. Maybe they just can't take that off the camper. It's easier for them to give you things than take money off the camper. So
there are things that you will have to have, especially if you never have had a camper before. So you're going to need things like a hose. Make sure that you're getting a sewer hose. You'll want to get the vent covers for your vents on the RV. And a lot of places will give you like a discount on that stuff, like the day of, you get such % off if you buy it that day when you're getting the camper. Ask them to throw in some extra things, like some of the big ones that you can try to get. We asked to get the surge protector, but we didn't get that, and I wasn't gonna let like $500 be the difference between us getting the camper and not getting the camper. Ask for a good surge protector. Again, the vent covers, or even the labor to have those things installed on the camper, is another way that you can get a little bit of money in your favor. So
the place that we bought it from, they gave free labor if you purchased the things that day, and so that was a benefit to us anyways, and so we bought multiple things to go on there.
But we had a bad experience with the vents on our old camper. So we knew, a lot of people don't buy the vent covers right away, but like we knew we were not going to leave that place without vent covers, because in our old camper, there was a hailstorm that got busted out and it flooded the camper. So, there's definitely things that you can add on to get a little bit of added value in your direction, because it would have been money out of your pocket anyway that had to do with the purchase of the camper, even though it's not technically rolled into the camper itself.
Yeah, and just know that too. So if you go and buy a $30,000 camper, you're probably going to spend $1,000 to $1,500 on extra stuff, and just know that. One of the big things is the stabilizing hitch for a travel trailer, anyways.
And that's another thing you can get thrown in sometimes.
Yeah, but if you buy a fifth wheel, you got to buy a different hitch, all that stuff. So you know, you just got to know, once again, do your research, know even after the sale of the camper what all you're going to have to purchase for it.
And you can think all you want to that you won't need those things, but then the first time you go to plug in your brand new, you know, $30,000, $40,000, $50,000 camper and you don't have a surge protector, you're gonna go, I should have brought the surge protector. I really don't want to fry this camper. So, you know, it's, make sure you know, that's a little bit more of the holding your ground and knowing what you want. Like all of the things that you're gonna want to buy for it when you get to that point. So just do your research full on, know everything that you want out of the camper, the deal you want to get, everything you want to go with the camper once you have it, and have all that knowledge before you try to make your deal. I was pretty proud of myself for our last, like our big dog. Here is the granddaddy of tips that we have for you. I was pretty proud of myself because I am not a negotiator. So we live in the Nebraska area and I ended up finding a camper, the 312 BHTS that we wanted, 2019, everything we wanted, dealership that didn't have any dealership fees, whole 9 yards. And it was in Chicago. And I got them to, I mean, almost right out of the bat, they were gonna give us 30% off MSRP. I was like, Steve, we're going to Chicago, you know, I'm like trying to figure this out. What are we gonna do with the kids? Because we didn't want to drive that far with the kids to go get a brand new camper we'd never driven before. So we, you know, trying to figure all that out. And Steve's like, there's gotta be one closer. And I knew that there was one in Kansas City, but Steve had called down and they like weren't gonna budge on the price very much.
I had called them before she had found this one.
Yes.
And talked to them, and they didn't budge on their price really at all. And so I had kind of given up on it. And so Kansas City is, 300-400 miles closer.
Yes.
So I just suggested, why don't you call down there, tell them you found this one up there for this price, and see if they'll match it.
And so that's exactly what I did. I called down there and I told them I was interested in the 2019 312 that they had. They, you know, told me their price or whatever. And I said, well, you know, I've actually got a dealership out in Chicago that's going to give me this price. And they were like, oh, okay. Kind of playing that card. And so then I said, so, you know, we would love to be able to do business with somebody closer. This is almost like having it at a home dealership. We would much rather do business with you guys. And we've heard good things about them before, this particular dealership. So, you know, we were like, we would rather do business with you guys. He was like, okay, well, let me, you know, talk to my boss and see what we can do. And then they came back and they were a little bit off. I want to say probably 35% off or something like that. Not 35%, 25% off. You know, I basically just said, well, then we'll probably just go ahead and drive to Chicago to get it because we want to get this deal. You know, it's worth it to us to get the deal on the camper. And then they came back and they were within a few $100s of what Chicago was going to give us. And then we would have to drive. I mean, in the gas and all that stuff, it probably pretty well equaled out.
Yeah, it would have been a wash. And the more that I think about that, you know, after the fact, it is way better to have a dealership closer that you purchased it from. Even if, you know, it wasn't kind of that wash, I think it would have been worth, you know, even, you know, maybe a couple $100 more or something like that. But if it would have been thousands, that's not, to me, that's not worth it. So.
Yeah. And, you know, they did, like, they really wanted to know that we actually had a deal from another dealership that, like, they kind of wanted proof that I wasn't just calling them and telling them.
Yeah, fine.
Yeah. So, you know, they said they wanted to know the name of the dealership. They wanted to know their costs. So if they had any, like, dealership fees, things like that, they wanted to know what their costs were. They wanted to know if they were throwing anything in, like, sewer hoses or things like that. So, you know, they wanted to know for sure that I'd actually talked to another dealership and had a deal from them.
Obviously, I wouldn't suggest lying.
Yeah, calling them, I have a deal. No, don't do that. You know, ultimately that is what got us the deal that we wanted. We probably weren't going to buy a camper that day. Yeah. It was just that I got a little antsy and I started messaging some dealerships that had a few of them in stock, and then ended up talking to this one in Chicago, and they were going to give us the 30% off. And I really didn't think we would get that much because, like we said earlier, it was kind of a hot commodity because it was the 2019s had just come out. They had made the upgrades to the bunk room in the 312s, and you know, they were pretty hard to find. So I really didn't think we were going to get it. So when, you know, Chicago said they would give us that deal, I was pretty excited and like, we have to jump on it. I kind of jumped on that. You don't have to take the deal, you know, but then we ended up getting it closer, and it was timeline wise too, because they did squeeze us in pretty quickly.
Yeah, I think that weekend they got us in for an appointment because they want to run through everything and make sure you understand the camper inside and out. At least this place. I don't know if they all do that, but that was super nice of them to do that.
Yeah, and for them to fit the timeline that we wanted, because, you know, we were getting ready to go on our 2-week trip, and, you know, we were like, if we're going to spend the money anytime soon, we want to do it and have the camper to go on this longer trip. And if we hadn't been able to pick it up that weekend, we wouldn't have been able to get it before our trip. So said, hey, we want to pay this much money for it, and you have to have it ready by this Saturday. And they accommodated all of that. So, you know, hold your ground, know what you want, know the amount, all that stuff. And you can get 30% off MSRP on your camper.
Yeah.
And ask for the sheet. Like, ask them for the sheet for your specific camper, and you can ask for it before you buy so that you know like what your target price should be for the camper, because they will give you like the invoice sheet or whatever for the camper, so you can know, okay, here's the 30% off, and that's what I want to get out of it.
From a lot of the research I did, you really should be getting, you know, 25 to 40% off.
Would we have probably ever gotten 40% off of our camper? No, probably not. It was too popular of a camper. The brand was too hot.
Probably not, unless maybe you're a master negotiator. Or you know a guy.
Everybody knows a guy. Just hang in there.
You know, things will change, things will go your way. You hold on for one more day.
The right deal will come for you to get the camper that you are looking for, that's going to be a great fit for your family. And hopefully these tips help you out. If you have any other tips that we didn't talk about that got you a good tip on your camper, drop it in the comments so that other people can see that and can learn from your experience as well, because that is what this is all about, helping each other out a little bit. And if you like this video, give it a thumbs up. Click the subscribe button, ring the bell so you never miss an adventure. Like I said earlier, we are going to at least seven states. So you don't want to miss that this summer. Good luck in your search for your camper. If you have any questions or anything like that as well, please let us know in the comments. We would love to help you out however we can. You can send us a DM on Instagram, Facebook, all of those places. You can find us, and we would be glad to help you if we can. Do you want to say it?
See you on the trail.
Bye.
Hi, welcome to Trail Less Traveled. I'm Katie, this is Steve.
You were full on dead serious. Like, you definitely were Katie. Okay, take 2.
Only explore together. Yeah, that was terrible.
Go to bed.
Hello, welcome to Trail Less Travel. I'm Steve. It's really hard for me to say that. In our travel trailer, and where am I going with this? We have a family of 5, and did I say that already? Take 20.
You're Steve. Just so you know. There's little children out of bed. Elephants. We have elephants upstairs. Woo! Steamy. Fees. So they have fees that they have to pay.